Last topic on the table. I told you so. Go ahead, John.
Okay. Yeah, you told us. Yeah, the headlines here. Did you watch the British Open this morning?
Yeah, I woke up at 2 a.m. because my back was bothering me and I wanted to go downstairs, and I got vetoed on that thing. But I did watch it later in the morning, and I've followed it throughout the course of the day. He's talking, of course, about the British Open. Let's start with topic one, Tiger Woods. As Tiger got ready to tee off his practice rounds this week at Troon in Scotland on the West Coast, he was confronted by comments that Colin Montgomerie made. Colin Montgomerie, of course, is a great golfer, England. He was asked about Tiger playing in Grand Slam events only. And Monty said, why the hell is he doing this? He can't play anymore. Tiger was passionate. Tiger was ultra competitive. Says Tiger hasn't broken par in a Grand Slam event since 2021. Why is he doing this? Tiger responded. He didn't blow his lid, but he blew his lid. He said, I've won Grand Slam events, 15 majors. Has Colin Montgomerie won one major? No. So he kind of talked him down. Tiger goes out today, and it's horrible. The weather was bad. We all knew that, but everybody had to play the same. He was terrible. He had 7 bogeys and 2 doubles. He just completely fell apart on the course. 7 over par. You're not going to make the cut. I'm sorry. I said this prior. People got offended. I just hate to view this as being a pity party. And that's what it's become. So Tiger's playing and people follow him, but he can't play anymore. I hate to see him limping on the course. I hate to see him dragging his leg, walking up the hills. It's just not the same. So Tiger's gone. Meanwhile, first round at Troon. I'm going to tell you about the golf course, first of all. I wrote some notes here. I want to make sure I get these quotes correctly because I thought long and hard about this over a beer. What is Troon on the west coast of Scotland all about? 6-foot deep pot bunkers. If you played the game.
Oh, yeah. I saw them on TV. They're like hellacious.
Yeah. You'd be down there trying to get your ball out of the
it's
big
like
hole.
Vertical.
Exactly. So you got pot bunkers. The posted stamp hole, 123 yards, 6th hole. Good luck getting that sucker on the green without taking a penalty. It's like trying to drop a shot onto this table. Postage stamp hole. The railway hole. Don't you hit your ball off the fairway over the rail lines that run parallel along Troon, because you have a tough time getting it out of the rough or getting it while it's down in between the tracks. I've never seen that before. And then there's the thing called the mile hole, 623 yards. Good luck with that.
Wow.
Making distance. And by the way, there's the weather. And today in the first round at Troon, golfers who teed off early were playing into an 18-mile-an-hour wind that got gustier. But because you're on the Irish Sea, that thing can change. So they made the turn at 9 after fighting their way through all this 18 mile an hour in their face. The wind had changed. They had to fight their way back on the back 9 with the wind in their face. And then it started to rain. And then the wind was going sideways. It was just awful. And if it's not just the weather and just not the course, you got what they call the gross gorse, which is the high weeds, the brown burned out weeds in the rough. You got the sand dunes and you got the swales on the green. You got the rough, which is really hard to go find your ball, much less hit it out of. And you got the British brush, twigs, different flowers, all types of debris if you can't keep the sucker on the fairway. And then you got the weather in the Irish Sea. You can get all 4 seasons in one day at the British Open when it's on the coast of Scotland or it's blowing on the Irish Sea. So going into this thing, I talked extensively about Scotty Scheffler. He right now is dominating the PGA Tour. Talked about Bryson DeChambeau, who's been red hot, LIV, and obviously won the U.S. Open. Talked about Rory coming home, all the experience playing on the links courses and all that. Bad day today. Rory couldn't get it on the postage stamp hole. Took huge penalties. He hit the green one and it bounced off. Penalty shots. Then he hit one over the railroad tracks on the railway hole. He self-destructed. Rory was 7 over par sandwiched right next to Tiger at the end of the leaderboard. Does not look like Rory's going to make it. And DeChambeau, for all the flamboyance, he started like you and I would, well, maybe you would start. 4 bogeys, first 6 holes, never recovered. Scotty Scheffler was amongst the later groups that started. He was at 1 under par, I think probably on 11 as we started our podcast. So this thing is a freaking nightmare. And if you like seeing golfers struggle and how they react and how they have to recompose themselves, don't watch Ty Hatton throw his club down on the green and almost break it because he was so angry about the wind blowing his putts. It's an obstacle course, but it's fun to watch. And tomorrow might be a beautiful sunny day. But then again, tomorrow might be like winter too, because it's bloody Scotland. So that was quite a story. You want to comment on Tiger? You want to comment on the Open?
Well, just real quick, I saw Tiger birdie a hole, and then when he walked to the hole to pull the ball out, he looked like an old man, like bending over with his back, and you could tell he's just not the same guy. Yep. So yeah, is it a pity party? But watching that, I was watching about an hour of it this morning, and the fans are like in jackets and beanies, and the golfers are even wearing multiple layers out there on the course. I mean, it looks brutal.
It is. It's an obstacle course. You're not only playing a 158-man group that teed off, you're not only playing the obstacles that I just alluded to, who the course is, how it's laid out, and what you have to compete with. You're playing the weatherman. And I think atop the leaderboard today, it says weatherman 1, golfers nothing. Just terrible. You're a golf fan. Feel free to jump on board. Let's go to the second topic on the table there, English soccer. A day after King Charles wrote a thank you note to the stars, Harry Kane, etc., on the English world team that was in the Euro Championship finals. And he wrote a similar letter to their coach, Gareth Southgate. Southgate retired. He walked away from it. It says he did not want to do this anymore. He said, I've accomplished a lot. I've learned a lot. He should be accorded honors for rebuilding English soccer, which has not done anything globally, I don't think, since 1965. But that's a bit of a surprise. Gareth Southgate has retired as coach. Got Team USA. There's some obstacles now. It does not appear, since they fired Greg Berhalter, it does not appear that Jurgen Klopp, the English coach at Liverpool, the former coach at Dortmund in Germany, wants to interview with Team USA, just does not want to coach next season. He wants to take the entire year off. And the second big name that was on the group had Jesse Marsh, who's the coach of Team Canada and was a finalist before Berhalter was brought back a second time. He said, I'm staying in Canada. I'm not going to take this job. However, interesting names have surfaced. Those of you who are English Premier League fans will recognize this name, Tom Tuchel, former head coach at Chelsea, former head coach at Bayern Munich, is evidently expressing interest in Team USA's job. And he's a pretty dynamic guy, knows how to work with young players, which a preponderance of the U.S. roster is made up of. Another name that has just surfaced, Hervé Renaud, coached Zambia, which had upsets in World Cup play. He coached Ivory Coast. He coached Saudi Arabia. He's expressing interest. Steve Cherundolo, who's done a great job with LAFC, the Los Angeles team, and MLS, and Mauricio Pochettino, former head coach, Hotspurs, Chelsea, and Paris Saint-Germain, who's available. He got let go by Paris at the end of the year. So all of a sudden we got 4 different international names that are expressing interest. I still like Jurgen Klopp, but I don't think he wants to coach. So we got that story. And then the last topic on the table, this hasn't gotten a lot of coverage. This is cool. Sports John is all about marketing. NCAA has just announced, we know about the greatness and the excitement and the following that March Madness Final Four brings. They have announced next year, the Final Four in Indianapolis will feature not only the Final Four in men's basketball, they are bringing in the finals of the NIT, which the NCAA also operates. And they're going to put the championship game in Indianapolis on Final Four weekend.
So not Madison Square Garden?
No. It'll be played in Indianapolis probably on the Sunday before the championship game on Monday.
All right.
So that's cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
And they're bringing in the Division II championship game and the Division III championship game, and they're going to play them at Hinkle Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, the great old barn that Butler University plays in.
That's the Hoosiers movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's cool to bring
isn't
the
it-
D2 and D3 guys. I
yeah,
like
so
that.
isn't that cool? So you have the NIT, which is kind of fallen off the radar. You're going to put that in the middle of March Madness, and you're going to have the D2 and the D3 guys bring their teams and their fans, whatever that might be, to Indy
That's awesome.
and play them at Hinkle Fieldhouse. That's kind of cool. So, John, your turn. You can talk about the three Lions in England, Team USA, or hoops.
Oops. I mean, I go back to Team USA. If I'm looking to hire a guy, I'm not going to hire an MLS coach or a Team Canada guy. Get one of those, European coaches in here to, really take it up a level. So it's just weird that they let go of Berhalter so quickly, and yet Jurgen Klopp, which could have been an awesome substitute, now he's not available. I feel like they've kind of screwed themselves.
I'll tell you what's interesting to me. I've read some of the fans forum stuff we've gotten on social media. People just banging on us because we're pro Berhalter, and yet fans out there think he's failed. I'm not quite sure I subscribe to that theory, because his whole methodology was we got to rebuild this program, and Pulisic was item one. And then he moved what few veterans are left off the roster, and he stocked it with a lot of young kids who have to learn on the job. And yet, preponderance of soccer fan that watches our podcast, just, I don't know if they're beating up on me or they're beating up on you, or maybe they're beating up on both of them. I haven't found one guy that sides with what we had to say about Berhalter, that he needed the next 21 months to make this thing grow. You bring somebody abroad, you can bring a good coach, but he's going to bring a whole different culture, probably a whole different program. And then there's a language issue too. I think they should have stayed with Berhalter through the next World Cup. That's just one man's opinion, but I'm a talk show host, so I think I'm right.
Well, I remember the last World Cup, we knew the team was really young.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, okay, by the time we get to 2026, they're going to be in a good spot. But it just felt like a quick trigger on this whole thing. I mean, and then as far as the other comments, I love all the Final Four stuff that you mentioned. And the British Open is just a terrific tournament. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the weekend.
You just like to see misery. You just like those poor guys.
And it's cool the way the course has those holes that are named. It's just like Augusta in that way.
You in a pot bunker. You'd probably be taking a 12 in a pot bunker.
Those are brutal. I mean, I saw those on television. I mean, literally, it's like 10 feet straight up, and it's right next to the green. So you've got to hit like a perfect dink shot to get it on the green.
Just absolutely amazing. British Open. Have never sampled it? Get up at 2:00 in the morning, watch it. You'll like it. Hey, our